Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is a paid request from Tomas. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. So this is for, like I said, Tomas, and he wanted me to talk about Firstborn, a film from 1984. Now, the director has done a couple films I've enjoyed. Thunderheart with Val Kilmer. Extreme Measures, I thought was a pretty decent one with Gene Hackman and Hugh Grant. I did like that thriller. Now, Firstborn has a really good cast. You got Peter Weller, who does a wonderful job in this. You got Teri Garr, who's usually known for comedies, but she does play a bit more of a different type of role in this. You have Christopher Collet, which he didn't do too much afterward. He pretty much retired soon after. He did a film called The Manhattan Project. Like I said, he doesn't have a big film career. I guess he just retired, got out of the business, and did something else. You do have a fairly young Corey Haim. I think this was the first film he was a part of. Or was it Lucas? I think it might be this one. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But yeah, Corey Haim, he does a really good job here. And then you have, in bit parts, Sarah Jessica Parker, who would go on to be in Sex and the City. Robert Downey Jr. is in this for a couple scenes. So, I mean, nice to see him in there. And it's a story that I think for a lot of people could be rather relatable. Where Christopher Collet, you have his younger brother, Corey Haim, and you have the mom played by Teri Garr. She's a single mom. You tell there's a little bit of sadness because she wants to find another mate. Her ex-husband, the two kids' dad, he comes by every once in a while. But like he takes them to dinner and seems like a nice guy, but then he leaves and goes off to do his own thing. Corey Haim's character caused some trouble at school from time to time, had these little violent outbursts, and his older brother Colette has to say, you need to stop doing this. But you definitely get a sense of them as a family, especially between Christopher Collet and Teri Garr, between the oldest son and the mom, where they're kind of playful with each other. And, for example, when he's in his room with a girl and they're studying, and the mom knocks on the door and he goes, just wait, just wait until we put our clothes on. She's like, what? Oh, very funny. Or before he leaves, she's looking at him going, man, how did you get so tall? Come on, give me a hug, give me a hug. Like, you tell, there's a nice, sweet connection between the older son and the mom character. And they do a setup of how Colette is at school. Robert Downey Jr. is kind of one of his buds, but he doesn't play too much of a primary role in this, which is too bad. I mean, at this time, no one knew who Robert Downey Jr. was, but like I said, it would have been nice to see more of him in the film. Does him and Sarah Jessica Parker pretty much disappear? I get why, because by the finale of the film, it's about the family unit. And the having other people, it's more about them, and they gotta get their shit fixed and taken care of. But it was like, oh, well, some of these characters have just disappeared, but I get why in retrospect. And then one thing leads to another, and you have this new guy come in who's going to be the mom's new boyfriend, played by Peter Weller. Now, I'm a big fan of Peter Weller. Buckaroo Banzai, I love Leviathan, RoboCop, Of Unknown Origin, which he did before this film, because that was 83. Streamers, 50-50. He was, didn't mind him in Shakedown. He's done a lot of films I quite enjoy. And he does do a solid job in this performance because he's playing a character who ultimately is a very big loser, violent creep. But there are moments where he shows a certain sense of not kindness but calmness, where you just see why the mom was captivated with him to begin with. And there are moments of calmness, so he's not just a one-dimensional slasher villain bad guy. So it makes the character feel a bit more real. But at the same time, he's a piece of crap. He's a real piece of work, piece of crap that you just are waiting to see him get his comeuppance. So there is that too. And I will say there's parts of this that not the entire movie, but I'll put it this way without getting too much into detail of my own life. There are parts of this that hits a bit too close to home. I'll just put it that way. And that's why I've had this request for this film before. I kind of said no because the premise of it. Again, not the entire premise, but parts of it. I've been through that kind of situation, and I just didn't want to relive it. Obviously, Tomas, other people didn't know, but I don't want to get too in depth onto that. So that's why I would never watch the film again, and I don't really watch those type of movies. But I will say though, it is fairly well put together because of the performances of the cast. You know, Christopher Collet, for a guy that didn't go on to do too much, he was actually fairly effective. You really felt for the character. You were hoping for him to succeed. You could see how he's trying to balance everything where, understandably, they see this guy and the guy seems kind of mellow and easygoing and, well, hey, how's it going, guys? This is not the greatest way to meet. And the hardships of him trying to deal with school, trying to deal with his younger brother acting up. I thought there was going to be more to Corey Haim, like, fixing himself acting up because, like, he kills a bird. He does apologize, but he still killed a bird. He does make some mistakes in school as well. But by the end, it doesn't really say he's going to change. I guess you're hoping that he does. But, I mean, you really get a sense of Christopher Collet just trying to make this work, trying to make this situation work as best as he can. His own mom telling him, you have to trust me on this, and he thinks maybe this guy is cool because the guy buys him this dirt bike, but then he sees that the guy also wants to buy something for the little brother. He gets sense, okay, this guy's just wanting to say the right thing, but there's something off with the guy. And then when the guy brings up, like, he has a security firm, but then he wants to open a restaurant, even he goes, what happened to your security job? What happened to that? And then these men keep stopping by, and all this restaurant idea is going to require all this money, and seems like he's using you. And Teri Garr's character can become rather frustrating, but trust me, this does happen in real life where people they feel a sense of loneliness and sadness, so they don't see the forest for the trees. So when the older kid asks, why can't you see it? You blind? Don't talk to your mom like that. Yeah, then start acting like one. That line is a fairly true line. I'll just put it that way. And then you have certain people that go up and go, if you're going to say something, don't go to your mom. Have the balls to say it to my face. it felt palatable and real because the performances, especially by Peter Weller, even Teri Garr, you get a sense of her kind of loneliness and a sense of she doesn't quite know what to do 100%, but it's not, she's never mean to the kids, she's never nonchalant to the kids. You tell that she does care for the kids. And like I said, Peter Weller, he does have his moments of calmness, so he's not like a one-dimensional bad guy, but he's still a fairly big creep and loser. Especially when you find that he does deal with drugs. Now, one thing they kind of brush aside, or not brush it, but they don't delve into the whole thing where now the mom is in the drugs. I mean, the kid asks, so you're a cokehead, huh? And he sees his mom partying with a bunch of people in their living room, including Peter Weller. And you see her doing like this. But you don't get too much of why she decided to do drugs other than her being lonely, but you don't really get a lot more depth to the character. And especially, like, when you're hooked on drugs, it seems like for the most part you're really hooked and you're not going to just beat it like that. So by the time the end happens, I'm like, so is she still a cokehead? Like, did she just beat coke by the power of her will? Or, I mean, granted, I've never had cocaine. I'm just assuming that that would be a tough thing to just let go and never do again. Maybe that's just me. I just thought for the type of character she was, for her to all of a sudden be a cokehead seemed a bit of a stretch. At least to showcase a bit further. Like, you do have a scene where the older son asks, the oldest asks her, and she's like, "You thought I was happy, but she didn't seem as happy as we thought." But then he had, "Well, you're not happy now." But I just to go from that to all of a sudden in the drugs, it just, I know that happens in the real world, yes, of course, but I guess I want to see a little bit more transition in between with maybe a scene where Peter Weller offering it to her, and she's like, "No, I don't want to do it," and "Oh, no, no, no," and then ultimately deciding it once, then twice, then enjoying it, and blah blah blah. Thus, a little bit more character development on Teri Garr's point of view, perspective on that, but you don't really get that. Like I said, when Peter Weller comes on the screen, he's very magnetic in terms of his star quality. Meaning, when he goes into a room, my eyes just focus on him. And again, whether he wants to be kind of talking easy with the kids, like when Christopher goes, "Listen, if you want to listen to my records, I don't really appreciate that." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm just, I saw they were there, and you like the oldies too, huh? That's part of, that's what I like too." And then he says something of, "Well, this pinball machine is mine, but you can play anytime you want." Because you can see that if you're not paying attention, how Peter Weller's character can be disarming in terms of charm. But of course, there's a lot, there's more to him than that. And Corey Haim. Corey Haim gives a very. I always enjoyed Corey Haim as an actor. Whether it be he did good job in Lucas, I really liked him in Silver Bullet. I loved him in Watchers. Loved him in The Lost Boys. Get into the 90s, his drug issues, the issues he had with that dominant guy who Corey Feldman was best friends with. Did all this stuff to Haim and it messed him up, and it's sad what happened to him. It's always sad what happened to the Corey Haim, and I'm not going to go on my Corey Feldman rant because that'd be another 20 minutes, and each time I talk about Corey Haim, I always go on a Corey Feldman rant. I won't at this point. Now I'm debating whether I should, but no. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm sure it'll pop up another stream or video. I'll say it again. But I always liked Corey Haim more than Corey Feldman. I always thought Corey Haim, he had a lot. He was a good child actor. I think when he got older, he got more hooked on drugs. He still, I thought, was a better actor than Feldman, but you tell it the drugs were affecting a bit. Also, the projects he was getting wasn't the greatest. I mean, I liked Demolition High. Demolition University was there. Oh, what was that one? Blown Away. Lame ass dud fuck movie, man. Fast Getaway films were there. I don't remember hating them. But it wasn't, great, projects, I would put it that way. But he's fairly good here. I especially like the scene when he's like, we gotta go somewhere, no matter what, we gotta go somewhere. And the older brother's like, what, and leave mom? She still loves you. No, she doesn't. Now, how do you know that? Because I know how I feel. And when Corium says that, you buy it. Like, you buy it, you believe that's what his psyche is telling him. I wish there was a culmination of that at the end where the mom finds that out and she's either mad or horrified or what. My kid thinks that way, that I think that way of him. And then, like, there's a point where her and Corey Haim have a conversation or talk, or I still care for you, or nothing really culminates. Like, nothing. It's almost as if that story doesn't really, that part of the story doesn't end by the end. You just assume everything's fine because the guy's gone, but there's just little nitpicks here and there. But again, I thought the actors really helped with the story. I do like the bit when Christopher finally stands up for himself against his teacher, who gives him an F for BS reasons. And he stands up for himself and he throws the papers at him and tells him off. I especially like when he pretty much tells him the truth about himself and goes, "You're a lightweight." And you tell the other kid's like, and he walks off. Now, of course, Sarah Jessica Parker's the girlfriend, wants to leave, but the teacher tells her to stay. But you would think afterward she would try to go to him and go, "Hey, how's everything going? How's everything fine?" Like her, Robert Downey Jr., like at least some kind of appearance, some kind of something going on. But that never comes up. They just flat out disappear. They don't even check on him after school, like, of anything. But I do like when he says you're a lightweight leaves and you have this kind of guitar music playing. I thought that was nicely done. I was like, all right, he's standing up for himself. Stood up to this one guy and I was going to stand up to this other guy. Now, I will say, well, this is spoilers, but more spoilers. Christopher Collet has a plan where there's this thing of drugs. He finds it, he hides it, then says he's going to call the cops. And I'm kind of sitting there going, that's a bad idea. And just like Peter Weller says, oh yeah, you're going to call the cops? Well, guess what? They're in your mom's house and they're going to take care of your mom too. You want that? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. That's why it wasn't really the best plan of action. Even I knew that. But then you get this chase scene, and the chase scene is not a bad scene, but it just felt really out of place for this movie. Because the rest of the movie is very much trying to be down to earth within this house where it's kind of this tension back and forth. At times there's physical violence where he's pushing the kid down or the guy's lifting weights or stuff, and Peter Weller threatens him. There's a bit where Corey talks back and Weller tries to break down his door, but then Christopher's like, "What are you doing?" And Weller grabs him and slams him, pushes him up, and Christopher goes, "Don't touch me and don't touch my brother." So that tension worked well. The car chase felt like it was a different movie, though. It felt like it was a different film. It was a different movie. Because now Peter Weller's going out and I know it's not broad daylight, it's at nighttime, but still you're going around chasing this kid that if anyone sees you, sees your license plate, they're going to know who the hell you are and call cops in here and something. Witnesses. It just felt like it was put in there because someone said, listen, we need an action scene. People think it's too boring if we don't have it. Please, let's have some kind of action. I don't know if there was a studio mandate or it was the writer going, well, we need an action scene here. It just, like, the rest of the film didn't feel like that kind of movie. And then it didn't matter because he gets caught anyway and gives the drugs back anyway, and they go back to the house anyway. I guess really the only thing it did was finally show Teri Garr, hey, this is done. He's going too far. I mean, I think just a foot chase like within the house where he's like smacking the kid once or twice, boom, Teri Garr's like, fine, that's it. And it would have worked within the keeping the tone of the rest of the movie. And then Will is going crazy, smacking the lady, smacking the kid, smacking the other kid, until finally Christopher beats him up and kicks him in the balls a couple times, which will do the trick, and says, get out of my house or I'll kill you. Now granted, those type of individuals, even that won't deter them, or if it does, they'll do it for like a day, then they'll come back for more. But it's a movie. You go along with it. Granted, you think that maybe Peter Weller's buddies are going to get involved somehow because they would appear from time to time. Again, the fact that Sarah Jessica Parker, sorry. So many times I say one name and then I say a different one. It's like when I'm doing the Godzilla commentary for 1998, I'm like, oh, at one point, Jan de Bont, but then I say Joss Whedon. I don't know, my brain is not working the best lately. But Sarah Jessica Parker, and Robert Downey Jr., they disappear. I wish little things like the Teri Garr having a drug problem, or Corey Haim thinking that his mom don't like him anymore, or did Peter Weller's buddies, if those little subplots got wrapped up in some way or some shape or form. But it is what it is. Overall, I did not mind the film. It was well acted. You definitely feel Peter Weller's creepazoid performance, that you really become a villain, that again, you get why the mom was charmed towards him. He's not one-dimensional. He has moments of calmness, which makes him even more of an effective psycho. It was nice to see him get his comeuppance and get out of there. Checking the time. Things work out at the end, which is nice. And overall, well-acted movie. To say yet again. I know Teri Garr and the kid kind of looked at each other, but I actually thought that, since we brought up the whole HUD thing earlier, I thought there's going to be another HUD, only this time the mom instigated the HUD with the kid. This time you'd have the kid instigate the HUD with the mom. that could be a show of kind of him growing up in a way where, come on, give your mom a hug. But this time now, Mom, come on, Mom, give me a hug. So, but other than some little things here and there, yeah, it's a pretty decent movie, pretty decent flick. So, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye for now.